Jules Kounde has been spotted in London today, pictured as you can see here, amid rumours that he is closing in on his move to Chelsea Football Club. Now, this has been a deal that Chelsea have been chasing for a long time. It's a player they have wanted since the summer of 2021, but a player they've been scouting for a number of years. Is he in London to steal that move? We're going to take a look at what some of the mainstream media outlets and journalists have said, and some people close to Chelsea. But I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Are Chelsea and the new Todd Boehly regime, are they about to land their first major summer signing? The same time that Thomas Tuchel was suggesting that he can't even take a holiday because they've got to get to work right away. I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. Let's do this. Multiple Chelsea defenders looking set to leave this summer. That area of recruitment is going to be important. Of course, there's been huge speculation for a long time about Jules Kounde, the Sevilla centre-back, joining the club. Now, the fee is said to be pretty high. Anywhere between 58 million and 70 million British pounds is what's being sort of casted about by the mainstream media. Remember, in the summer of 2021, it was reported for the majority of the window that Chelsea had already had an agreement in place that as soon as Kurt Zouma leaves, they'll buy Jules Kounde. The price was set. It was a done deal. It just needed to be completed. Now, initially, Jules Kounde and Kurt Zouma were going to be involved in a cash plus player swap deal. Chelsea were going to give some cash plus Kurt Zouma and get Jules Kounde in return. Now, Kurt Zouma could not come to an agreement with Sevilla and move to West Ham. The West Ham move essentially started to happen just after he said no to Sevilla. It took a little bit of time, though. West Ham took a while to get the deal done with Kurt Zouma. It prolonged, it protruded somewhat, and it went down deeper into the window. After that point, it was expected that Chelsea would revisit their deal with Sevilla. They kept in contact with the player for the majority of the summer. He had a total agreement with the club already, personal terms, no issue. And then Sevilla hiked the price up. Chelsea Football Club sort of said, well, we're not going to be bent over a barrel here. We're not going to allow ourselves to be made fools of. We already had a deal. The player, furious with Sevilla, sided very much with Chelsea. He's kept in contact with them for the majority of the past 10 to 11 months and is still desperate to join the club. The deal was, of course, revisited again in January, but no real progression made. And of course, the last few months have been turmoil for Chelsea with the sanctions against Roman Abramovich and the takeover, which we now know is complete. But this deal has been reported by a number of outlets as of late to be back on and motoring forward. Here shared by the CFC news report via TalkSport, say that Jules Kounde is closing in on a move to Chelsea from Sevilla, with Thomas Tuchel finally set to get his man as soon as Todd Boehly's takeover of the London club is completed. And this is something which has been discussed in this as well. They want to make a big splash. They want to make a big bang. They want to get something in straight away that's going to get the juices amongst Chelsea fans flowing. And when you think about Jules Kounde, despite his age, he's already racked up over 200 appearances. You know, he's competed at the European level now for, I think, for the last 4 seasons or so. So he might be young. You know, he's been capped by his country. There's experience in there as well as that youthful exuberance. I think it's an excellent signing for Chelsea, which certainly has their fans very, very excited indeed. And as we mentioned at the top, Rudiger's going. Thiago Silva is getting on a little bit. There's still big question marks over Sarr and Chalobah. You've got Christensen going. As an example, Aspie going, or already gone now. The season's over for Chelsea Football Club. The defensive areas need massive reinforcements. And I think Chelsea fans are going to feel a sense of relief and almost a calmness, really, if a deal like this gets done early and doesn't take the majority of the summer. Here you can see from Andreas, who is a friend of the Terrace, says that Jules Kounde is closing in on a move to Chelsea. The Blues will conclude talks with Sevilla as soon as Bowley's takeover is complete and they are ready to pay the required fee. Personal terms have already been agreed and the Frenchman is waiting for Chelsea. So in terms of his connections to London, depending on upon when you watch this, he might say I'm on holiday. He might be here visiting some friends. And it's strange, actually. He's actually the picture that was taken in the picture that we've already shown you. That if you actually look there, where that the shops to the left hand side, above that are a set of office blocks. How do I know that? Because that's my old office. Not all of them are mine. I worked in an office in that complex there. It's Bond Street, and it's very nice part of London. Lots of nice shops up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was out there shopping. But he's in London. Has that got anything to do with a move to Chelsea? Yeah, it could have. it could have. I'm not, there'll be people that don't like Chelsea Football Club that will probably try and play it down and no, you're sort of clutching at straws here as an example. But no, from my point of view, I think 110%. There's a distinct and huge possibility that it could be Free's move to Chelsea Football Club. I don't see how it can just be written off as a big fat no, which is what some people appear to be trying to do. But for me, I think most certainly it could be the case that he's on his way to Chelsea. He could just be here, holidaying, relaxing, maybe just getting a bit of shopping in, but ready, to get a medical done and to be that first big signing under that new regime, which I think is a big key component here. It's that signing under the new regime, which I think is not being overlooked somewhat so much, but I think it's something that's not really being discussed as overtly important, but I think that it is. I think it's really, really important that it's kind of looked at and focused on really in terms of keeping the fans happy, sending an element of calm even across the squad. Other players are looking to sign, people that they're talking to about renewals of contracts within the squad, that we still mean business. Just because Roman isn't here doesn't mean that we're going to lose our way. It doesn't mean that we're going to suddenly fall apart as a football club. It doesn't mean that we're suddenly not the team that we once were. That's what they've got to guard against. 110%. That is what they have got to guard against as a football club. As a football club. And I think that a deal like this would very much do that. There's no doubt. And I think the consistency of message around they're waiting for the Bowley deal to be complete and fully over the line. Look, it's just paperwork now. It's just technicalities until that is done. But I think it's a great start for Chelsea. If this deal is indeed the first that they get done, if they get it over, I think it's a fantastic piece of business for Chelsea Football Club. There's no shadow of a doubt about it. Now, more signings are going to be needed. And they will be, though. That's a real big point here. I've said to a lot of I've said this to a fair number of Chelsea fans in recent weeks. You're going to have a big summer, in my opinion. There's a lot of rivals, a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of Manchester United fans, a lot of Tottenham fans that are kind of looking at Chelsea as prey in some regards. We'll get you. We'll catch up. No more Roman. No more oil money. We're going to get you. You don't need as much money as that. You need to be run well. Look how good Liverpool have become without oil money. Because they're being run well. Because they are being run well. And a signing like Jules Kounde early on in the transfer market, moving on to your next target, being swift, quick, decisive, bringing in young, up-and-coming talent that, more importantly than anything else from a footballing standpoint and view, is that what Thomas Tuchel wants. Thomas Tuchel wants these players. He's had one signing so far, and it's highly reported that he didn't want Lukaku. He didn't want him. It doesn't fit his style of play. It was one of the very few brain farts that happen regularly, really. So let me rephrase that so that sounds a little bit oxymoronic. They made very few mistakes, the ownership of Chelsea Football Club. They run the club impeccably well. But one of the mistakes they made on too frequent a basis was signing players that the manager didn't want, that didn't fit that manager's system, that went against the grain of what they were trying to create. And that's something that Todd Bowley and the new ownership could really change and make better over the next few years. And I'm certainly not writing Chelsea Football Club off. I'm certainly not going to just turn my nose up and blindly ignore the quality that's still in that squad, the world-class manager that they've got, and the fact that players like Jules Kounde, players like Declan Rice, players like Tchouaméni are considering Chelsea Football Club, are in deep conversations and talks and have been for a while. Chelsea are a powerhouse now. They are not just a team that people fancied coming to because Roman Abramovich was here. Roman has built something huge, gargantuan, and powerful. And I just think people have got to wake up and smell the coffee. But I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Please make sure that like button is smashed before you leave. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you.